So tonight you will meet inspiring Hispanic Latinx leaders who will share stories of how their strength and resilience led to successful careers and positive contributions to our society. So now I would like to introduce our facilitator of the discussion, Carol Escalante, who is the Fairfax County Director of Immigrant and Community Affairs. She is part of One Fairfax and has more than 15 years of experience working with key topics related to immigration, community engagement, public policy, diversity, inclusion, and strategic planning. She is currently developing and implementing a comprehensive countywide plan for ensuring that Fairfax County is a welcoming community for immigrants with opportunities for integration, community well-being, and economic success. She served as a diplomat in the Foreign Service of Honduras for approximately 8 years, being her last post in Chicago, Illinois, as Consul General of Honduras. During that time, she worked on a daily basis supporting the Honduran community and developing new strategies to be able to create programs that will have a positive impact in Hondurans in areas like immigration, human and labor rights, education, financial literacy, and more. Ms. Escalante has a Master's of Art in Strategic Communications from George Mason University, a Master's of Fine Arts in Media Design Management from the International Academy of Design and Technology of Tampa, and a bachelor's degree in journalism from the National Autonomous University of Honduras. She was born in Honduras and is married and the proud mother of a 6-year-old girl. She's a native Spanish speaker and is a Fairfax County resident. Welcome, Carol.
Thank you so much. That was a lot of information. Thank you. Thank you. I'm so excited to be here. Good evening, everyone. How's everyone feeling today?
Wonderful.
Yes, that's the energy. Too bad I'm missing my maracas today. So it's a true honor to welcome you to this special event as we celebrate Hispanic Heritage Month here in Fairfax County. Today, we gather to recognize the tremendous contributions of Latinx leaders who have shaped our community, our culture, and also our future. Their stories of resilience, innovation, and leadership remind us of the rich heritage that continues to strengthen diversity in our county. This month, it is time to reflect on the vibrant traditions, histories, and cultures that our Hispanic and Latinx communities bring to the table. It is also an opportunity to acknowledge the many ways they enrich our lives, from public service to education, business, the arts, and beyond. We are proud to be joined by such an amazing and inspiring panel of Latinx leaders today, who have not only paved the way for future generations, but have shown what can be accomplished through hard work, determination, and a deep commitment to community. Thank you for being here, and let's look forward to an inspiring discussion today with Fairfax County Supervisor of the Providence District, Ms. Talia Palchik, President and General Manager of La Nueva Pantera radio station, Mr. Pedro Biaggi, Clerk of the Court from Fairfax County Circuit Court, Christopher Falcon, and the Associate Director for the White House Internship Program, Ms. Jasmine Chavez. Thank you so much for being here. As we honor this heritage, let us continue to strive for inclusivity, equity, and mutual respect. Let's today's conversation empower us all, embrace our diversity, and work together toward a brighter, more united future. Happy Hispanic Heritage Month!
Woohoo!
Yay! All right, well, thanks again, honorable panelists, for being with us today in this powerful and full of positive Zoom meeting. Too bad we cannot hear the clapping, but I'm sure that everyone on the other side of the screen is as excited as I am. Show me through emojis on the chat how you're feeling today. Please also write your questions and comments in the chat, and the panelists will have the opportunity to answer them after we go through the main core questions that we're going to start right now. Okay, our first question to the panelists is the following. Can you tell us a little bit about your background and upbringing and identity? We'll start in this occasion with Dalia, then Pedro, then Jasmine, but last but not least, Christopher, for the first question.
All right. Buenas noches, ya. Good afternoon, good evening. Don't know what time it is, but thank you, Caro and Tina, and so excited to see everyone. As mentioned, I'm Dalia Palchik. I was the first Latina ever elected to the Fairfax County Board of Supervisors, which my mom still asks me. It's like the city council, but for the county. So I was born in Argentina. We moved to Richmond and then to Fairfax County with my family when I was 6 years old. I had 2 brothers at middle school and a baby sister. And we moved here, you know, and just very turbulent times in Argentina and Buenos Aires. I grew up here, Fairfax County Public Schools, went to Mantua, Frost, and TJ. Chris and I, our parents are both the sweetest people in the world and still live in Mantua. My dad did home repairs. He was an architect in Argentina. My mom learned English, went to Nova, took English classes, does not like grammar the way my dad and I do. So then she went into catering and became a caterer. My family's also Jewish. A lot of people don't realize in Argentina, we have a very large Jewish population. So all the years I taught Spanish and French for many years. I did international poverty and microfinance work, and I taught Spanish and French to kindergarten through 8th grade before running for school board and then in this role. And I love what I do. I represent most of Tyson's, the Merrifield area, Oakton, parts of Falls Church, and parts of Fairfax outside of the city. But also where Chris works, at the judicial complex, was the original town of Providence, which is actually in the county. So very exciting. Grew up here, love school, love languages. I always thought I wanted to be a teacher, taught for many years, and always wanted to do more. Somehow fell into local politics. And, you know, it was on Saturday I realized from the time we were growing up here till today, the county has gone from 81% white to 49.5% white. We have become a majority minority community. And I think growing up here was really challenging, really feeling, you know, I had friends who said, oh, I don't like Hispanic people. And that's why doing this work is so important to me. I didn't think I would come back, but I think our community has changed for the better. And I love the diversity. I love that we do more and more to celebrate and honor, but really are working to be more intentional as a county in not just celebrating, like I said, but really having opportunity and empowerment for everyone in our community. So that's what drives me every single day. That's what I'm excited about, what I get to do. I have a 2 3/4-year-old who gets to sleep over at Abu and Abuela's house tonight so that I can do this. Thank goodness she finally enjoys doing that. And live with my husband, my mother-in-law, and our little pug, Maggie. So here in the Falls Church area, and I love it because we are such a diverse community, and I get to be in an area of the county where we have a very large Latino community. And a very diverse community. And my daughter's now at a bilingual preschool. So love what I do, love the work we do, and just helping people and solving problems every single day. So I'll stop there.
All right. Should I just continue?
Uh-oh, Carol's muted.
Yeah,
it's your turn, Pedro. Take it away.
Okay, my name is Pedro Biaggi. I am a blessed individual. I think I cannot count my blessings, and I'm so happy that I'm able to share a little bit of my career, about my story. I was born in Puerto Rico, in Guanica, Puerto Rico. We moved to Ponce. Across the street from my house, a radio station. And when I was 4 years old, I used to go there to hang out because, I was a very crazy little boy. So I went to the radio station. I became friends with everybody. And in my mind, I thought when I grow up, I'm going to be like these guys. Except that nobody explained to me that if you were a gay person, you were going to have a lot of trouble, a lot of problems to be like these guys, because the logic, it just didn't make any sense when I understood that being a radio announcer or being what I am today had nothing to do with sexuality, had to do with talent and passion and commitment and so on. But so I explained to myself that I couldn't be that guy, so I became a ballet dancer. At the age of 16, I moved to New York as a dancer with the American Ballet Theater, one of the best companies in the world. I don't know how I got to that kind of taste because I come from el campo, where there was nobody showing me anything like that. But once I realized that existed, I just fell in love with the art. However, a few years later, I went to a recording studio because a friend of mine was doing a radio commercial, producing a commercial for a show. The announcer didn't show up. She asked me, Pedro, can you record this for me? And there I was, oh my God, no, I can't do that. No. But that's exactly what I wanted to do. I did the commercial. When I heard it in the radio, I sat in front of the radio to listen to it like it was a TV. And when I heard it, it was amazing because to me, I had wasted all those years thinking, I didn't want to be a dancer, really. I did not. I just was able to dance. I wanted to be a radio announcer. I wanted to be the guy with the voice, the guy with the sound. And so today, I am 62 years old. I'm working on my retirement today, and I just happen to feel that what got me here is that I am loving, respectful. I'm a powerful man that uses his power with all the love I can muster. I am committed to my community. What really drives me crazy is to be useful to people, to be useful to my community, to be able to give you a hand. And the miracle of this position that I have here, that I've lived for the last many years, is about magic. It's about believing. It's about having faith that things can happen, that you can make a difference. Unfortunately, I have been able to do it via what I do. So I am a blessed individual. Like I said, when I started, I happen to be a gay man, and I am single. I'm not interested. I'm retired. I am retired in many ways. And that's me.
Hopefully retirement doesn't mean that we're going to stop hearing your lovely voice in the radio.
No. I am working on, when I was younger, I was working on my future, on my career. Now I am working on my retirement by doing an excellent job, because the better job I do now, the better I'll be able to retire.
Wonderful. Thank you, Pedro.
Yes, you're
And
welcome.
now we're going to go with Jasmine.
Hi, good evening, buenas noches. Thank you so much, Carol and Tina and team, for really organizing this really beautiful panel. I'm super excited to be here. A little bit about myself. I grew up in Falls Church, Virginia, but my parents brought me to the US at the age of 5 from El Salvador. I grew up in a low-income, predominantly immigrant community. And so for me, my biggest focus has always been wanting to give back. Growing up in Falls Church, resources were oftentimes scarce, and I remember very distinctly connecting with organizers who would connect us with food banks, and connecting with organizers who would connect us to toy drives during Christmas time. And so for me, having that memory as a young child and being able to think to myself, like, I really want to be able to make sure no one else goes through this, is something that has really helped me pave my own path to want to give back to the community. I attended all of the schools in Fairfax County. I attended Glasgow, I attended Sleepy Hollow, Justice High School. And so growing up and going to Title I schools, and seeing the lack of resources, seeing the underfunding for these schools, I was really empowered to want to give back. And so at the age of 14, I began to organize. At first, it was just going to the State House and doing a little bit of lobbying with people like Cindy and Rosalia through the STAR program. But then I continue to do so by organizing food drives and clothing drives. And so for me, that is something that has never gone away. Like, I still go back, I still support as much as I can. And so with those passions in mind, I've been able to really advocate for the low-income immigrant community with everything that I've done. I worked at an immigration law firm for 2 years. I worked at AARP doing community outreach, worked at Dewey Square Group leading their tech policy portfolio, worked at the U.S. Department of Education for 2 years, staffing 2 White House initiatives, the White House Hispanic Initiative and the Faith Initiative. And it has led me here to the White House, where I lead outreach and recruitment for a White House internship program. And I'm able to really bring in people who look like me. And I think that is the biggest satisfaction I get, to be able to give back to my community by putting in, by making sure there's a voice at the table that looks like me, but also making sure that we're creating a pathway for more people who look like us to come into these powerful spaces.
Thank you. Great answer, Jasmine. Thank you so much. And now we're going to go with Chris Falcon.
Good evening, Carol. Can you hear me okay?
We can hear you.
Hello, everyone. Thank you. It's good to be with you here tonight. I'm Chris Falcon. I'm your elected county clerk of the Circuit Court of Fairfax. I won an election last November, and by doing so, I became the first Latino to ever be elected county clerk of the court in Virginia history, not just Fairfax, but anywhere in Virginia. My life certainly did not start off that way, heading towards becoming an elected official. I owe so much to my parents. I was born and raised here in Fairfax County. My parents are immigrants from South America. My mom, Betsy, is originally from Ecuador, and my dad, Walter, is originally from Peru. So they met after coming here and settling in Fairfax County. Thank goodness they came here because I owe so much to this county and to the education system that I was provided. But in my household, my parents were very blue collar, and the promise that we made was that we would continue our education, and that they were working very, very hard and doing a whole ton of self-sacrifice to make sure that my brother David, my older brother David, me, and my sister Francesca would all make the most of the opportunity that they were working for. So I know that I've talked to many other people around the county who have similar situations, very, very hardworking parents who may not always understand the homework their kids are bringing home from school, but they're doing the best they can to provide for them so that they can continue their higher education. But yeah, no, I grew up very much being pushed by my parents that my brother would become the first in our family to go to college, and he did. He became the first in our family to go to college, graduate from college, to go to law school and graduate from law school, and then to be the first to pass the Virginia bar exam. And I was not too creative. I followed David, my older brother's same path. But so much credit to the education system in this wonderful county that we live in. So I live in Annandale now with my wife, Jackie, who's also an educator for Fairfax County Public Schools. And as Dahlia was saying earlier, I'm very fortunate to live in an area that is so diverse. I'm not too far away from Bailey's Crossroads, where the Hispanic Latino Festival was held. Great job, Carol and team. That was an inspiring event for anyone that went there, just to see the diversity, the music, the food, just the culture that we have here in Fairfax County. It is our strength. I say constantly at the Circuit Court, the agency that I lead, it is what makes us strong here in Fairfax County to have so many immigrants that make this their home and provide language skills to our workforce. So couldn't be happier to be here tonight. But growing up, my parents made it a very well-known fact that all that self-sacrifice would have to be repaid with hard work and studies. And I think I did the best I could, but I think they're happy with the way it ended up turning out.
This is so wonderful. I'm actually feeling very inspired with all these questions, and I need a little bit of music here. A little bit of Celia Cruz. How's everyone feeling?
Feeling good.
All right, this is so wonderful. Thank you so much for sharing this, powerful and inspiring stories. But I know we don't have a lot of time and we want to take advantage of every second in this panel. So my second question to the panelists is, what role did education play in your road to professional success? Were there any obstacles you faced in accessing educational opportunities? And in this opportunity, we will go with Pedro, then Jasmine, then Chris, and then Dalia.
Okay, so all the obstacles that you could find, or maybe not even the path to education was available for me, because I come from an environment. My mom had a 10th grade education, and going to school was not really an option at that time for me. It was going to work, going to live life, going to make it, and hopefully get my education along the way, which is what I did. I went to New York when I was 16 years old, thinking that going to dance ballet was the greatest thing in the world. Was you could only count from 1 to 8. I had an accident when I was 18 years old, and I found myself with no education, learning English, wanting to work in Spanish, and had it not been for my how much I love what I do, and that it was a dream that I had as a child, I think it would be a lot more difficult to self-educate, because at the beginning of my career, I had to self-educate. I had to learn in the field, in the radio stations, at the TV station, at the movie set, what to do and how to go about it. But I think my ambition was so big, so great, that whatever obstacle was in front of me, I had to go over it. I had to later on in life go to educate, go back to finish high school and get my degree, and just very basic education. Today I am in college. Today I am 62 years old, and when I retire, I'm going to be highly educated. But I think it's my option that I want to keep growing, keep learning, keep the beauty alive. But today, to my people that I loved and the kids that I'm a godfather to many kids. I have at least 6 godchildren. My topic of what are we going to do with this life is education, because today you cannot even, they won't even look at you at a, if I didn't have education, okay, I want to apply for a job, the computer will reject you just by the simple fact that you don't have the proper certificates to provide. So the education is the key to freedom, is the passport to a wonderful life. I know that because I come from a very poor place and I've had a wonderful life today. And it has to do with how I prepare myself, how I educated myself, how I influence others to do the same.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for that answer, Pedro. And now we're going to go with Jasmine.
Yeah, so education played a very important part in my life. Both of my parents, they came here from El Salvador with like a 3rd grade education. And so for the longest time, my dad was a janitor and my mom would babysit for a living. So they both just didn't have access to the resources in terms of like how I could apply for college or what that would look like. But my mom, she always really emphasized the importance of education, because she'd always say, and I don't know if y'all can relate, but she would always say, like, I don't want you to be like me. I want you to like be able to like have dreams that you achieve and like go out and like make a difference. Like, I think oftentimes our parents make so many sacrifices for us that they're not able to achieve those dreams, but they live vicariously through us. And so I definitely feel that my mom lives vicariously through me. And for me, it's all about making sure that I'm also giving to them the sacrifices that they've sacrificed for me. And so education for me has always been super important. My high school teacher, Mr. Vanderberg, and Miss Lee were 2 of the most important people in my life in high school. They believed in me since day one. They met me when I was a high school freshman. I was super shy and really needed guidance on the college application process, and they really helped me on my journey. And then they connected me to really good programs like the STAR program, hosted by Hakan, actually, the Congressional Hispanic Caucus Institute and the Smithsonian Latino Center Young Ambassadors Program. And those programs really empowered me and provided me with resources that I needed to continue growing as a young leader. Because as someone with my background, like, a lot of opportunities just were very scarce unless you knew the right people or you were connected to, certain organizations. And so for me, it was a huge, huge deal when I became the first in my family to graduate from college, mainly because, I immigrated here with my parents. We grew up super poor. I am the oldest of three. My sisters and I, we come from a long history of just different traumas in family. Growing up, my grandma, she was a domestic violence survivor. She had like 9 children, didn't really get to focus on any education or be able to think about dreams aside from the dreams and the hopes of her children. And so it's such a big deal for my family, for me to be where I am, but also to continue giving back in the ways that I can. And I always find ways to give back as well, because that is the only way. We got to keep doing it. We got to keep pushing ourselves and pushing other people up with us.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Jasmine, for your beautiful answer. And now, Chris.
So I always say that education is the great equalizer in life. I stand by that. It's the ticket out for many people. I have to give a shout out to my schools. I got to go to 4 amazing public schools here in Fairfax County: Pine Spring Elementary, Mantua Elementary, Frost Middle School, and Woodson High School.
Go FCPS.
All FCPS. If it wasn't for the educators at those 4 schools, I would not be here today. I had all sorts of obstacles. I think this is the first time I've ever talked about this, but I'll bring it up. If there was a small group, I was in it for help, right? I was in a reading small group when I was struggling learning how to read in 1st grade. I was in speech therapy for 7 years. And I was also in math one-on-one and small group. So all of the, many of those years, I was getting individualized attention or small groups with other students, and just the amazing quality of educators and the support staff that are in those schools, I owe so much to. But the other group that I have to say thank you, and I would be remiss to not mention, our libraries, our host tonight. Thank you, libraries. I spent a lot of time at the Thomas Jefferson Library off of Route 50 near Loman's Plaza with my mom when I was having trouble learning how to read. And I would come in there and go to the children's section and sit down with a book. So our libraries are such an amazing resource. So a huge part of my education, and I thank all of them very much.
Bravo, libraries and FCPS. Thank you so much for that great answer, Chris. And now, Supervisor Palchik.
Thank you, Carol. And oh my gosh, I love being able to hear everybody's stories. Because I think, like others have said, probably those of us, growing up here, I love school. School is my favorite thing. I didn't ever want to have to go home. I love being at school. But not everyone's like that, right? But also, there were challenges, right? I remember as soon as I could, right, hiding the fact that I was an immigrant, so much so that my 5th grade teacher had no idea until my mom told her that I was an immigrant, that I had worked so hard to get out of the ESL classes and to be fully integrated. And she didn't know I was so shy and barely spoke. But I love to be in school. And, I just remembered a funny library story. Library in Spanish is biblioteca. And I remember, but bookstore is librería. And so as a language teacher, we call those fake friends, because librería and library sound similar, but they're 2 different things. And so I remember in our classroom, we used to go every Friday afternoon to the library and then watch Reading Rainbow. But we had a box in our classroom that said library on it. And I thought it was like a free little library or a little free library. And so I would go and grab books I liked and take them home. And then the kids realized, they're like, someone's taking our library books. And I had no idea that it was actually like the library book return box and not the, hey, take a book home box. But yeah, just like everyone here, you know, it took me leaving this area to realize just how incredible our schools are compared to so many places. Our public schools absolutely make a huge difference. Like I said earlier, my mom, she stayed at home with the four of us until probably we were all grown up. And that's when she started catering on the side. And it really struggled, you know, coming from a Latino family. I never even imagined following in my dad's footsteps. He had been an architect in Argentina, and my mom loved to cook and bake, and she loved being at home with us. And I couldn't figure out what I was going to do. And it wasn't until my teachers that I said, oh, that's what I want to do. I want to be a teacher, because they were the female professionals that I just loved and who loved school. You know, looking back, what I do now, the work I do now, is very similar to what my dad did. He studied urban planning. He was an architect. He didn't get to do any of that here, which makes me really sad, especially these days where, you know, he's struggling with memory issues. And there's so many things I wish I could talk to him about that he studied and that he did before we moved here in architecture and urban planning. But, you know, it took me a couple more years, probably until I was in my 30s when I started getting into local government. But really, I always wanted to be in school. I've studied so many different areas, and I'm in school again now in public policy because I know this is what I want to keep doing, and there are things that I want to learn and get better at and what I do. But at the same time, I know for my brothers, it was a different experience. So they were in middle school when we moved here. They had learned some English from my grandmother, who was an English teacher, but not a lot. And back then, Frost was our middle school, but they didn't have ESL when we moved here. So my brothers actually went to what was Lanier and then to Woodson. And that was a really hard transition for them. And they really, I think one of my brothers didn't have a lot of friends. They didn't have a lot of friends in high school. And so when I first ran for school board, it was so important to focus and ensure that we paid our family liaisons more so that they could support our schools, that we had access to language services and interpreters and training for all of our schools and all of our teachers, so that regardless of what school you go to, that you feel welcome and integrated and that you know that you and your family belong. Because for me, it's really important not just to get a really good education, but that you feel welcome and that you and your family are empowered to be part of the system. And so that's what I think many of us here fight for every day. And Carol was there on Tuesday as we honored our outgoing Chief Equity Officer, Carla Bruce, for Fairfax County. And what she does and that we all have to do is really ensure that we bring the equity piece and the inclusion piece for everyone and the opportunities for everyone to our community. So that is what those of us here today and all the leaders in the community, that's our task as we go forward.
Bravo, Dalia. I love it. There we're going to go. A little bit of more music to put a little bit of like ambient in here. And now, you know, I know we're going to leave a couple of minutes for questions and answers. And these are definitely so powerful answers for sure. And I will continue with one of my favorite questions this month. And that's why I have some music. You can still hear me, right?
Yes.
What does Hispanic Heritage Month mean to you? And in this occasion, we're going to start with Jasmine, then Chris, then Dalia, and then Pedro.
To me, Hispanic Heritage Month really means it's a celebration of my beautiful community, our culture, and our history. You know, it's so beautiful to see like all the different cultures from South America, Latin America, from all over coming together to really showcase how beautiful our cultures are. And so for me, it's a time for, you know, I'm a dancer myself, so like I like to perform Salvadoran folklorico at like fairs and festivals. But for me, it's always just such a beautiful reminder to like honor my ancestors, honor where I come from, appreciate my culture, because it's so beautiful. And I think that, like, you know, honestly, we should be celebrating HHM every single day of the year, but it's a beautiful reminder of like everything that we come from, and a reminder that, you know, we are here, we are strong, we are the Latino community, and that we're going to keep on pushing for good things for our communities. And so that's what that means for me.
Wonderful. Thank you. Great answer. Yeah, in El Salvador. All right. And then we're going to go with Chris.
Quick answer. It's a celebration of comida y familia, food and family for me, right? I mean, that's my parents are from Peru and Ecuador, so I know Peruvian chicken is huge here. A lot of my friends that are not Hispanic, Latino enjoy our food. So I think sharing and celebrating those parts of our culture, but also familia. You know, one of my coworkers was having a conversation in Spanish today with her mom at work at the courthouse, and it just made me smile because that's me all the time. My parents constantly are still checking in on me, making sure that I've eaten dinner and that everything is going okay in our house. But that's what those mean to me.
Not to put you on the spot, Chris, but you prefer Ecuadorian food or Peruvian food?
Sorry, Mom, Peru all the way. The ceviche is pretty good in Ecuador, but Peru is kind of
I like it going with my mom. You know, I am originally from Honduras. My husband is from El Salvador, Salvadorian American. And hopefully my daughter will say Honduras when she gets asked this question in the future. Dalia.
Yeah, for me, it really, yeah, like everyone here, it's my familia. Sometimes I feel like I have a dual personality, and I still try to be more my authentic self when I go out. But Hispanic Heritage Month reminds you of that little girl, the 6-year-old who was here and shy and embarrassed to have her parents come to school. And I want to make sure that we are celebrating, honoring the diversity within our Hispanic community. I love having all the flags because people have an idea of what it means to be Hispanic. And I think the more we have events that show just how big, huge, diverse our community is, and that we are really the future here. That everything we do in those days when we're not sure we're doing the right thing, remembering the little kids growing up, and that we are here to set an example for them and make sure that they have pride in their Hispanic heritage as well.
Wonderful. Bravo, Argentina. Do you know how to cook Argentinian parrillada?
So I'm more of an empanada girl. I'm a baker. I was vegetarian for a long time, but I love that chimichurri has become so popular. It's crazy. No one knew what it was growing up. So my mom's is less spicy than the normal chimichurri. But there are a lot of cooks in my family, so I stick to the baking.
Okay, wonderful. I like empanadas too, or choripanes.
Choripanes are good, but yeah, I can very quickly make some beautiful empanadas for you, which we don't have, sadly, a lot of restaurants here. I eat you know, the Bolivian style of empanadas and
Las salteñas.
which are different from ours, but still very delicious. I live
we
very
need
close
to
to
get
Luz
together
Maris.
too. People need to get together to try all this, you know, delicious food from Latin America.
I know.
Now we're gonna go with you, Pedro.
Okay, so Hispanic Heritage Month is, to me, a celebration of who we are. More important than who we are, our color, the color of my skin, the flavor of my food, of your food. Remember that we're Hispanic and we're Latinos, and we're not necessarily from one place, because I am a Latino from Puerto Rico, you are from El Salvador, the other one from Guatemala. So we are so rich and we have so much to share when it comes to our culture. So it's a celebration of not only our culture, our flavor, our colors, but the legacy that we leave behind. For example, Sonia Sotomayor, the Supreme Court Justice, a lady that came from the Bronx who had no resources to become who she has become, but through education, she happens to be this phenomenon of a human being and making such a difference in life and living that incredible legacy. That's one example to me of great legacy. So it is about what we leave behind.
Oh my goodness, I understand that feeling. I'm feeling very proud to be Latina today, a Latina immigrant in Fairfax County.
Pedro, I want to, when I was teaching, I loved reading this book about Sonia Sotomayor, and how she
Yes.
wasn't a good student until the
No.
nuns at her school started handing out gold stickers. And she was
Yes.
very competitive and she wanted to have the most gold stickers.
Yeah.
And that's when she became an excellent student. So I love that story and I tell it
Yeah.
to my kids whenever I teach.
That's an exceptional human being.
All right, then, and to wrap up this panel, well, with the last question, because then we will have some space for questions and answers. So if not, I have other questions prepared as well. I would like to ask our honorable panelists, how have you paid it forward and helped others? Because you're all professionals, successful professionals. How have you paid it forward and helped others in our community? And this time we will start with Chris, then Dalia, then Pedro, and finalize with Jasmine.
Thank you again, Carol. So I was proud to serve on the board of directors of Edu Futuro for 6 years. So I just came off the board. But for anyone that may not know, this is a nonprofit organization that supports our students, especially young immigrant students, first-gen students to this country, finding a pathway to college, and then not just getting to college, but succeeding in college, and then getting an internship. But Edu Futuro also helps the parents, working parents of our young students with workforce development. So that was incredibly rewarding, and I was proud to be there. But I also volunteer my time pro bono as an attorney. So I've been volunteering ever since I passed the Virginia bar exam in 2008 for the last 16 years, giving my time back to the community and meeting with people at no cost, either through the St. Anthony's Legal Aid Clinic at the church St. Anthony's on Route 7 in Coolmore, or through other groups. So I really encourage any lawyers out there to please give back their time pro bono. Lastly, I've joined the Advisory Council for All Ages Read Together, ART. So this is a wonderful organization. Early intervention with reading is so important for our community, but I couldn't be prouder to be part of ART and helping young little kids and students learn to read at an earlier age.
Wonderful, wonderful. And now we're going to go with Dalia.
Awesome. Well, I'm going to start by following suit two of my favorite organizations that I've been involved with. One through the Children's Science Center at Fair Oaks. I spent a lot of time in the Kingsley community in my district, and we created a Latina Sci Girls program where we were able to bring mentors and got funding for transportation, and to bring girls. I especially want to inspire Latina girls in the STEM fields and in all fields of advocacy and professionalism. So that's one thing that is, I think is an incredible program and legacy. Another one is I started in Kingsley, a Girls on the Run team. I'm no longer one of the coaches, a little too busy to give that much time these days between my little one and my parents. But for me, the great thing about Girls on the Run is that it's not just about the running, right? It really is about an empowerment curriculum, and it really gives girls that sense of belonging, of leadership, of inner strength and beauty, and really builds a beautiful place for girls to be able to grow in that way. We even had a boy who joined us, Pedro, because he didn't feel comfortable with the way he was treated with some of the boys. So he joined us unofficially too, and that was wonderful. And then finally, really just in my office, we work really hard to bring in, I had a mentee when she was in 5th grade. She was then my intern and is now in college, and we have our employees, some young graduates. So I think it's really important for those of us who want to ensure, and maybe we did or didn't have those professional experiences and exposure to the different jobs that are available here in government and across the county in our region, is to build and create those opportunities and really target those young people who maybe wouldn't have those experiences unless someone really tapped them and gave them that exposure and helped them feel confident that they too could find a path that they're passionate about.
Beautiful. Thank you. Thank you so much for everything you do. And now we're going to go with Pedro.
Well, I happen to have been, I was a member of the Gala Theater Board. And to me, working with the theater, keeping that legacy alive is very, very important. I work directly with the Latin American Youth Center, el Centro Latinoamericano de la Juventud, throughout the years, because my brother was killed when he was 22 years old in the streets. And when I found this place, the Latin American Youth Center, I identified with it because I thought that had that place existed when my brother was alive, he would still be here. So when I came to Washington, D.C., I made sure that I found the places that my heart would be in there, that I would identify with them. So I took the LYC, I took the Carlos Rosario International Charter School, and I took the Gala Theater as my things, as my projects of life, because being useful has been my biggest challenge. I wanted to be popular. I wanted to be that guy on radio and television. Of course I did. My dream was to be that person, but for what? And that was the question I had to answer to myself. What are you going to do with this now? So pay it forward, move it on. I have recently hosted a gala for Hakan, and you mentioned Hakan earlier. And being useful to these organizations that make a difference in children's life is, to me, the only way I can now pay it forward.
Wonderful, wonderful. Definitely empowering, answers from all our panelists. And, now I would like to give some space. If anyone in our audience would like to ask a specific question, you can put it in the chat, or I don't know if they can unmute themselves, Tina, if they have a question, or raise your hand.
If they raise their hand, I can take a look and unmute them as we go. So please feel free to drop a question
Don't
into
be
the
shy,
chat.
please. We have Alex. Alex has his hand raised.
All right, let's see here. Let me find.
Welcome, Alex.
Hi,
Yes,
and thank you to all the panelists. I attended Supervisor Palchik's. I was volunteering for one of the organizations, Providence Day Saturday, and I got her brochure. I mentioned it in the chat that I like that the first priority you have in your brochure, Supervisor, is building a more inclusive community, which I feel is very important. Coincidentally, the next day, Tyson's Interfaith had a Zoom conference with GMU where there were people from all ethnic groups, faiths, etc. And in the breakout session, a gentleman who happened to be a Baha'i mentioned something, and this is my question to make it short. We were talking about people being xenophobic, and I attended a school like you did, Supervisor Palchik, like TJ in New York City, Stuyvesant. We had 14 languages, and to graduate with an academic degree in New York State, you had to actually take 3 years of a foreign language and pass a Regents exam. The joke a fellow told us at this interfaith conference was this: if someone speaks 3 languages, they are trilingual. If someone speaks 2 languages, they are bilingual. If someone speaks 1 language, they are an American. And I think the question I have
It's
is
my dad's favorite joke. I told him to
Yeah.
please stop.
Well, okay. So the question I have for all the panelists, I think one of the problems we have, not to get political, is that people are so provincial. You ask people, do you have a passport? No. What do I need it? You ask them, do they speak another language? No. I want everyone to speak English. The point is, that's my next door neighbors are on they're on a visa from Germany. Their children go to the German International School. They take 3 languages there: German, of course, English, and Spanish. You go to any other country, our competitors are not in Arlington County, they're in Beijing and Guangzhou, China, and they're learning English. How do we encourage people in this country? And many school systems are not as good as New York City or Fairfax, where you have to take a foreign language to learn about other cultures and learn other languages. Thank you.
I'm happy to tackle that a little bit, having been a language interpreter and language teacher So I taught at independent school because they started in kindergarten or pre-K with Spanish and French. I think high school is too late. Absolutely. The IB program is excellent. I found out about IB too late. I might have gone that route had I known about it in time. The International Baccalaureate program. And I think Falls Church City recently adopted it all the way through K through 12. So we normally have it here in high school and sometimes in middle school, Justice High School, Marshall High School. I think it's an incredible curriculum, but you really have to meet people where they are, right? And not judge them, but provide opportunities. And when I was teaching Spanish, I remember walking in and kids saying, I hate Spanish. And I was like, they don't like the way they're being taught. And so my big thing is there are the right ways to teach, whether it's after school programs, in school programs, weekend programs. I went to Escuela Argentina in Potomac every single Saturday. But the goal is really to expose and to share the love and the culture, and to really make it about wanting to do, whether or not you're good at languages, is to expose kids early, to give them those opportunities, and for all of us to go out there and just share your love and culture for the community. Hopefully one day we'll make languages more national standard. We don't have that. That's why you only have it in certain places, and it's not valued as well because it's not required like in New York. But I'll stop there. I think we have a very different system, but the way we teach language, I think, would come a long way, making sure that we're doing it the right way as well.
Thank you so much for that answer, Supervisor Palchik. And now we have Roberto. He has his hand up.
Thank you. Can you hear me okay?
We can
Yes.
hear you.
Excellent. Thank you for the opportunity. I know it's 2024 and we're listening on the folks that are here and all the great announcements for Hispanic Heritage Month. And we're seeing so many, the first Latino of this and the first Latina of that. And it hurts a little because we're going, hey, we've been here before Columbus arrived, and we're still doing our first of this and that. So I have kind of a question and a request at the same time, because obviously there's that saying about if you're not at the table, you're on the menu. And not everybody, unfortunately, can run for office, but we see everybody can at least contribute a little bit of time in whatever way or fashion that they can get involved. So my question and request to this panel is how can we get more people on Fairfax boards and commissions? There's so many that are around. Some obviously aren't that influential. I mean, we know that to be the case, but there's other ones like the water board. I mean, everybody uses water, right? And literally the last opening on the board of the Fairfax Water was because one of the old guys literally died and they had an opening on the board. They had to get somebody, and that's how the first, if not the most recent woman of color was appointed to the Fairfax Water Board, because we had an opening and some of us petitioned the supervisor to get someone on there who could represent the community of color. So that's kind of my request and question. How can we kind of instill and instigate more Latinos to step up and get on boards and commissions?
Hey, Chris.
Roberto, thank you for that question. I would just really encourage people to reach out to their supervisor because there are plenty of boards and commissions here in Fairfax County that need participation. You can go, there's a list that goes around that lists all the different boards and commissions that your supervisor, that the clerk to the Board of Supervisors can share. But that's how I got involved. You know this, Roberto. We met when I was serving on the Virginia Latino Advisory Board under Governors McAuliffe and Northam. But then I got involved locally by being on the Fairfax County Human Services Council. So there are so many important boards that need Latino representation on them. And I encourage people to get involved on the local level because that's really the way we can make the best change, the biggest change.
Wonderful. Thank you, Chris. Anyone else from our panelists would like to add something for what Roberto just mentioned?
Yeah, Well, as the sitting supervisor here and former school board member, and Roberto, we had these conversations. Yes, what Chris said, and don't forget that we have boards that are appointed by school board members, boards that are appointed by our county board of supervisors. I think there are other ways to get appointed, even outside. We often struggle to get candidates. So that's where I'm going to put it back on you, on Kettle and her team, on Jasmine, on everyone doing work. Help us spread the word, because often it's really a struggle to get people who can give their time. We're trying to make sure right now all of our boards and commissions, and I met with all of mine Saturday morning, are going through a lot of work on diversity training and ensuring that they understand. We had a really powerful conversation with my board. It's a mix of ones who've been appointed before my time and since I started, of what did the county look like and what do we want it to look like 20 years from now. And so I think, like Chris said, it takes time. Please get engaged, reach out. If you live in Providence, please reach out. Reach out to the chairman's office. He has some appointments as well that he can make. And just look and see. We have like 100 boards. There's so many. So find the ones that you're passionate about and that you want to give your time to and help us spread the word. There are only 10 of us, right? So we really need your help in doing that outreach.
Okay, so it is my job to spread the word. This is my a living on it. So I am out of Post Church, my radio station, DC 87.7 is here. I have a show on Sundays called Cara a Cara con la Comunidad, which is where we inform our community of the many opportunities that we have. So I invite you to use this outlet because that's what I'm all about, being useful. I can be useful to you. Let's do it.
You're my new best friend, Pedro. Vivo en
Hey,
Post Church también.
I love it. Te invito, ya estás invitada.
Gracias.
Like, I'm sorry, sometimes I have a hard time muting myself and that was wonderful. Thank you so much for that, great answers. And to finish our panel, I'm actually going to put a little bit more Hispanic music, right? Who likes Mark Anthony?
Woo!
Thank you so much for, a wonderful evening. And before we wrap up our panel today, I would like to invite everyone who is still in the Zoom call to participate in our raffle. So we have a Barnes & Noble gift card, and we have a lovely book by a Hispanic author. It is Mamá a los 16 by Claudia Morcello, and she is a local community Latina Fairfax County leader. And I'm gonna say my first question for the Barnes & Noble gift card. When do we celebrate Hispanic Heritage Month? Put it in the chat. Whoever puts it in the chat first will win the gift card.
Can we play two cuddle?
Oh, no.
Let's see, not the panelists. Okay, Roberto, wonderful. September 15 to October 15. Please write your email on the chat so we can make the arrangements to deliver the gift card to you. And then our second prize for today, courtesy of Claudia Morcello, a Hispanic author, Mamá los 16, is share the name of your favorite Latin American singer.
Oh my God.
Let's see. We're connected in Luis Miguel. All right then. So, and that was Pedro, but that was Pedro Viad. That was not Pedro Viad, right? No. Oh yes, that it will need to be Gloria Estefan, and the winner is Linda Hernandez.
Woo!
We will get you a copy of the book also, Pedro, okay?
Okay.
Just to be fair. So congratulations to the winners. And I just want to say that this has been so wonderful. Congratulations to the winners. I want to extend my deepest gratitude to our panelists for all you do and to be able that you all make time in your busy agendas to be able to join us today. The insights and experience shared by our Latinx leaders have not only highlighted the incredible contributions of our community, but have also reminded us of the work we still must do to ensure that everyone has the opportunity to thrive, like many of you mentioned during your interventions in this panel. So Hispanic Heritage Month is more than a celebration, like Jasmine mentioned in her intervention. It's a call to action. It challenges us to continue lifting up the voices of our Latinx community to ensure that their stories are heard and to support the ongoing efforts toward equity, inclusion, and justice. The strength of Fairfax County lies on its diversity, and events like this remind us of how much we gain by coming together, learning from one another, and committing to progress for all. Thank you again for our remarkable panelists, to everyone who made this event possible, and to each of you for being part of this important conversation. Let's keep the momentum going. Happy Hispanic Heritage Month. Good night. I'm sorry.
Good night.
Thank you,
Two
Buenas
minutes
noches,
of
Caro.
time.
todos.
8:02.
Yes.
Gracias.
Good night.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Adios.
Noches.
Yep, good night, everyone. The video link will be posted on the Fairfax County Public Library's YouTube channel probably tomorrow afternoon. So,
Wonderful. And we say goodnight with this lovely music of Mark Anthony.
hey. Awesome. Thank you all so much and have a wonderful evening.